I would like to hear you regarding the positioning of Peugeot within such a group, and how would you describe Peugeot's DNA, I would say?
Okay, well, our DNA is very simple to understand, and it's basically all around three values. And the first value is called allure, which is allure, which is a French word or an English word. We can use it either way.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is about design. This is about having, as I go back to what I said, having a very distinctive design, beautiful design, a very feline design. So allure is about that powerful attraction, excitement when you see the car. So that's the first value. And that is followed by the second value, which is emotion. And that goes back to pleasure to drive, the famous cockpit, which I referred to, the interior, but also this sense of driving, this real pleasure to drive. And the third one is excellence. And that's excellence of quality of our vehicles, which we are striving to get right. And of course, it's also about the excellence of the technologies that we have. So if you take those three values, allure, emotion, excellence, that's the DNA. And we embody it in one word. And this is an interesting study. We have one word, which is called allure. And we want Peugeot to be powerful attraction and excitement. And I say it's an interesting one because that was a challenge from Carlos when we first made and created Stellantis. And he basically said, okay, every brand has to have only one word to describe them. So you can imagine, as marketeers, you want hundreds of words. So every brand had to think of one word. And I think that was an amazing exercise to do. And I think that's true for if you can describe your brand in one word, then I think, you've really got a very sharp brand. So the DNA, quite simply, is about those three values. And then it's all about how do you translate that into the customers, back to the customer again. And as I say, what are the customers looking for? Two major reasons why customers buy a Peugeot: the design, exterior, interior, and this pleasure of driving, the technology. And we're back again to the customer. And
maybe I'm wrong, but I have the feeling that there is a shift towards the top end of the market. I don't know if you confirm.
Well, we've been working, actually, I would say it's not a recent shift. We've been working for probably about 10 years to move ourselves a little bit up. And I don't want to use marketing speak, but to move us up, we call it sort of generalist mainstream, and sort of a little bit up towards the top level. And why have we done that? Well, it adds value to the brand. What it's done is make sure that we've got very strong residual values, which is important for our customers. And of course, important when you're buying a car because finance offers take into account residual values of your cars. And it's what our customers are looking for. I take, for example, the latest vehicle that we're currently launching, which is a SUV, medium-sized SUV called an 3008. And circa like 60% are buying the upper range. So it's what customers are looking for. So yes, we have moved up market, but it's not been suddenly overnight. It's more about over the past 10 years as we've sort of moved and created what we believe is the right positioning for Peugeot.
And do you still find important to be popular? Because for me, Peugeot is a popular brand. It's not accessible, but something, popular. I don't know how to...
Well, no. I
think to keep this?
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, in France, Peugeot is the brand, the automobile brand preferred by the French, for the French people. So it's very, very important for us
to cultivate this.
To cultivate this, and very important in France, but also abroad, to be able to cultivate that we are a French brand. But going back to being popular, I think I would almost like to take that, and accessible, I think, is a very good word, as opposed to popular. You need to be accessible. But I think we talk about that now, particularly around electric vehicles in Europe, because probably 80% of my business is in Europe. We're very strong.
80%?
Around about 80% is in Europe. And of course, electric vehicles are the focus for any manufacturer if you're in Europe. And we have one of the widest range. In fact, we have the widest range of electric vehicles, and we are, leaders in selling of electric vehicles in certain sizes of cars. So accessible for a customer there can mean different things. It can mean, do I have the range, the autonomy to be able to go from A to B? And that's important for us because we need to make sure that customers want to buy an electric vehicle and they're not going to be put off by the range, which is why we offer, for example, on this 3008, up to 700 kilometres. So it's class leading. The next one is about charging time. So is it quick to charge it? 10 minutes for 100 kilometres. And the third goes back to your point. The obvious one is accessibility. And we need to make sure as Peugeot, with the use of finance offers and innovative finance offers, those strong residual values built up over time, that we can offer a small vehicle, an electric vehicle, for 120 euros a month in France. So that's the big balance that we have to have, is that our customers are asking for upmarket, but at the same time, we have to make sure we've still got a bit of accessibility. So it's a beautiful opportunity or challenge, if you like, in this very competitive world.
Indeed. And if we leave aside the experience and the shift towards upmarket to discuss about the technological transformation, as we said, we are in the middle of a big bang in this industry. There is a lot at stake for Peugeot in the transition to electrical vehicles. You have seen the whole project. How does one manage to lead such a revolution in a group like Peugeot from moving to the electrical?
Well, it's a great question because, of course, as I say, this is driven primarily in Europe, and it's also about Stellantis and Peugeot making sure that our carbon net zero target that we've set ourselves, that we hit it in 2038. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's, if you like, the override. And we have a strategy for Stellantis called Dare Forward 2030, which builds this strategy, of which Peugeot is part of it. And of course, selling electric vehicles. So first of all, we need to make sure we've got the product, which we have. And I've described that we have the widest mainstream brand in terms of that product. But then again, it's about, as we just discussed, it's also about the range. It's about making sure we've got the experiences, making sure that we've got the digitalization, the smartphone apps, etc., that go with that experience, finding your charging station or whatever it may be, your route plan or whatever. So if you like, you have to create a 360-degree experience around electric vehicles. And as a brand CEO, I have to make sure that that is relevant, that it is exactly what our customers are looking for, and that it works. And so that's the big challenge for us. Of course, it's a very competitive market out there, but that's what we've got to do. So how do you manage that project? Well, that literally is, as I say, it's 360 degrees, and you need to make sure that your brand is doing the right thing, whether it be the product that you're coming to market with, whether it be how you market electric vehicles. How do you explain electric vehicles? You know, some people have never driven an electric vehicle. So what do they think? You know, I still have people saying, can I charge my electric vehicle when it rains? Of course you can. And we laugh, but that's a
question. Okay.
But it's a question. And it's our responsibility to be able to educate people and say, well, actually, there are lots of benefits of an electric vehicle that is not just about the fact that it's zero emissions, but also it's much more agile when you're driving, so it's much more dynamic, etc., etc. So there's a bit of an education there as well. So as a brand CEO, I need to get all of those things right in order to be successful in this very competitive electric market. But, you know, I say to the team, because obviously we talk about this every single day because we're looking at it, you know, is why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? And we're doing it because we need to save our planet for the next generation. And I don't mean that in a sort of insincere, I mean it sincerely. That's what we're doing. So we have to be very serious and make sure that we really introduce it in a way that our customers will adopt it.
And when we look at the curve, the technological curve for the electric vehicles, I was impressed to see the speed you were able to deliver a new generation of car. Where do we stand in terms of technological curve? Are we at the beginning of a new era, or you have reached a certain level of maturity for your car? How do you see it?
Well, I mean, you know, we've got a full range, so obviously we're at a maturity of that stage, but the technology of batteries, etc., is moving so quickly. You know, within a battery, it's all about the elements of the chemistry that you put into it. And the better the mix of chemistry, the smaller the batteries can be, the longer they can go. So I think we're at the start of this technology. When I say the start, we're well established. we as a brand are very well established. Stellantis is very well established. We're introducing vehicles, as I say, with class-leading ranges. But this is something that will evolve as we move forward. I think, the technology of electric vehicles, safety in our vehicles, how we interact with our vehicles, with our smartphones and all of those things will really accelerate over the next 5 years, far more than has happened, than happened in the last 40 years. I think about the changes that happened in the last 40 years. I mean, I've been in this business so long. I remember driving cars that only had a radio. Yeah, not
Indeed.
Apple Play.
I too.
Yeah, that had windows that you opened going like this. Yeah,
Indeed.
Whereas now that's like standard, and your air conditioning, it's standard. So, but they're the technologies you think about. They're not the technologies that we're talking about now, which is literally having cars that can almost drive themselves.
I'm also thinking when it comes to change about the human side, the skills, the technological skills. It's a big topic for a group like you. Bringing new technology means rethinking internal skills. You certainly have to train people to import somehow the skills and to get rid of others. So you can make sure that the human transformation required to accomplish such a project. What have been done to renew and get the right skills to address the changes we are speaking about?
It is a major subject. And if I just take for example, and we'll talk about electric vehicles and we'll talk about batteries. So we have been, for example, retraining our people that have been working on the engines previously. They might have worked on petrol or diesel engines, and we're retraining those people to work on batteries. So we have with our partners, a gigafactory in France, and we have a workforce that have been retrained from working on the old traditional type powertrain engines to working on the electric batteries. Different skills completely. And that's very, very important for us, and we've linked with various government organisations to be able to retrain people. But you're right, wherever you go, whichever activity you're in, we're talking about retraining. And particularly, even if we look at marketing, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, the real importance of television and all of these, and very little importance of digital media and social media, of course, completely twisted round now. So the skills that we have in our marketing people have evolved. So you've got to make sure that you retrain your people and you're continually skilling and bringing new people in. And I would say the other thing that is very important now, and that's one of the things that's really important for me in my team, is I have a very diverse team. And I mean that I have got people coming from many nationalities, but also different ages, different experiences. So not all of them have been brought up like I have in the automotive business. They've come in from maybe, from software companies or whatever it may be, from CRM companies, because it's important for me to be able to have a very diverse group. And that's true for Stellantis as well. We've created a software factory where we've brought people in from the likes of Google or Amazon or whoever you want to talk about, Microsoft, because we need to bring those skills in to our organization at the same time as retraining our people. But yeah, the world is changing. It doesn't matter whether you're in the automotive business or you're in the food industry. The same things are happening. And of course, the entry of AI will also change the way that we look at things as well. And that technology, AI, we brought ChatGPT into our cars as well now. That's changing the way that you think and the way you come to customers. So yeah, it's a real subject that you have to work your way through. But that's the way the world is moving.